One of the most shocking and controversial military incidents in modern U.S. history took place on June 8th in 1967. And it involved Israel, just like what's going on in June of this year is again involving Israel. What Israel did back in 1967 to try and drag America into a military conflict with their chief rival at the time, which was Egypt, it helps us to understand and recognize what Israel is doing today as it tries once again to get the U.S. military to go fight its war for them, this time against their chief rival, which is now Iran. It seems that Israel constantly is at war with somebody trying to topple them. Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Iran. Well, this is about the U.S. Liberty, which was a lightly armed American intelligence gathering ship. It was in international waters. I think I've got a map. Yeah, I'll show you a map here. Inside this book. It was in international waters off of the Sinai Peninsula during the height of the Six-Day War between Israel and its Arab neighbors. Officially, Liberty was there doing communications work, but of course what they were doing was eavesdropping on Israeli and Arab military traffic. They're trying to stay on top of what was going on in the region, and it turns out that evidence shows that the Six-Day War was actually started by Israel, not the other way around, but that's for another time. On June 8th, just after lunch, the Liberty found itself suddenly under a ferocious and sustained attack, not by some Arab or Egyptian enemy, but by Israel, who was supposed to be our closest ally in the region. Now, the USS Liberty was flying a large U.S. flag. Its hull number was clearly visible. There was no question this was a U.S. Navy vessel. Israeli reconnaissance had been flying planes over the vessel numerous times that morning, close enough that the American sailors could wave to the pilots. So the sailors knew that these planes belonged to Israel, and the planes certainly knew that the vessel belonged to the United States. Yet, at 2 p.m. local time, Israeli Mirage jets screamed in low and fast, raking the ship with rockets, with cannon fire. They hit the ship's deck with napalm. The bridge erupts in flames. The communications equipment was obliterated. And within seconds, dozens of crew members were either killed or severely maimed. And before the smoke from that had even cleared, here come Israeli torpedo boats. They move in. They popped off 5 torpedoes. One of them slammed into the side of the Liberty, ripped a hole about 40 feet wide into the side of the ship. And when that happened, 25 more American sailors were killed instantly. So the ship is now listing. It's taking on water really quickly. You got blood of these dead American sailors mixed with the seawater down in the lower compartments. You've got smoke choking the air. And amidst this chaos, you've got the crew members scrambling, trying to save their ship. You've got damage control teams, many of them already wounded. They're fighting fires. They're plugging holes. They're trying to keep the vessel afloat. Radio operators are desperately trying to send distress signals, but nothing was getting through because Israeli forces had jammed all of the U.S. communication frequencies. And when one signal finally broke through, it was clear the USS Liberty was under attack by Israeli forces. Now, it took a while before that signal came out. And in the meantime, some of the sailors are hopping in lifeboats trying to escape the vessel, trying to take some of the wounded, and Israel turns their guns on the lifeboats to kill the sailors trying to get away. Now, intercepted Israeli communications later revealed in what is now declassified U.S. documents and testimonies, it shows that Israeli pilots identified the ship as American early in the attack. They called it in. You can hear one pilot protesting, saying, "This is an American ship. Do you still want us to attack?" Yes. Continue the attack is what Israel said. It's a matter of record, not conspiracy theory. So many survivors believe that there was a conscious, concerted effort to sink the ship and kill every single crew member, including those getting in the lifeboats, which you don't do even in wartime, because they were trying to eliminate witnesses that could identify that this was Israel doing it. Why? Because they wanted Egypt to be blamed. They wanted to provide the United States with justification to enter the war against Israel's enemies. This was a classic false flag attack. I mean, textbook example of what we mean when we say false flag. Initially, the White House believed that it was Egypt that carried out the attack. The U.S. Sixth Fleet, which was not too far off, they sprang into action. The aircraft carrier USS America launched nuclear-armed A-4 Skyhawk fighter bombers, sent them off toward Cairo. They're armed with nuclear missiles on the way to Cairo to take retaliatory strikes against Egypt for trying to sink a U.S. Navy vessel. And with literally 2 minutes to go before those missiles were going to be fired off, President Johnson called off the attack because they realized, holy crap, this is Israel. And in the end, 34 American sailors were killed. 171 were wounded. And some of them, these were gruesome injuries. Burns. The Liberty eventually limped to safety. It was barely afloat, but it did make it back. You can see photos of it. But what followed enraged the survivors almost as much as the attack itself, and that was the cover-up, the political cover-up in Washington, D.C. to protect Israel. Johnson's administration comes out saying, oh yeah, the Israelis say it was a tragic accident. Privately, that's not what Johnson was saying. He did not like the Israelis. But the effort to shut these guys up was immediate. Immediate. As soon as, you'll see in a video in a minute what I'm talking about. Sailors were threatened with court-martial if they spoke out publicly. Some of the sailors were threatened with electroshock if they talked publicly about Israel's actions and what they knew. A lot of these guys were forced to sign documents swearing secrecy. And to this day, no Israeli personnel were ever held accountable. To this day, we're still letting Israel screw us. To this day, Liberty survivors and their family members, they are furious. Because they know that the U.S. government betrayed them in order to protect Israel. That truth was sacrificed on the altar of empire and geopolitics. So for them, June 8th, 1967, it's not just history. This is a wound that will never heal because they were betrayed by their own country. Well, anyway, in 2019, I made some connections with a handful of the sailors who were survivors of Israel's attack on the Liberty. And one of them, really nice guy named Ron, he sent me this, probably can't get that to focus. He sent me this really cool challenge coin, which commemorates the, my glasses on, I can't see, commemorates the 50th anniversary of the attack. And then, and it's got along the edges, along the perimeter, it's got the names of the 34 sailors that were murdered by the IDF in cold blood. But then I unexpectedly got a second one from a Navy buddy of mine stationed in Japan, Crypto King. So that was very cool. Anyway, in May of 2019, I was buying up books, reading every version of the account that I could. There was an Attack on the Liberty by James Scott. And then this one, Assault on the Liberty by James Ennis. And there's there's something tucked away in the back that I'm going to be talking about in this video that was really cool. And so I got this book actually in May of 2019. I ordered a copy of it from eBay. It was a used copy from a thrift store selling stuff. And when I got it, though, it had this really exciting, very cool surprise on the inside, tucked away, a little treasure. And I shared that story with my audience in a video, and I'm going to play that for you now because, I don't know, it's show and tell. I'm really excited about it. And now that we see that Israel is trying again to screw the U.S. military and get our men and women to spill their blood for Israel, for the geopolitical ambitions of this fanatical cabal of colonialist terrorists, I want to share this stuff with you. But first, real quick word of thanks to all of you who have subscribed to my free email list at blackstoneintel.substack.com. In the last couple of videos, I had invited you guys to become free subscribers, and a lot of you have done it. So I'll be putting out some stuff for you guys. But I want to also invite you guys watching this video to also subscribe. The link's in the description. I also want to give an even bigger thanks to those of you who supported me and my work financially this week. Some of you became paid subscribers on Substack, and just this morning I put out a new report related to Israel, and you'll find that there for the paid subscribers. Some of you have been supporting me financially this week by buying Blackstone ball caps, some autographed pocket constitutions. I don't have one right here next to me, from blackstonemerch.com. Some of you have made donations to me through buymeacoffee.com, a couple of paypal.me/blackstoneintel donations. And my favorite of all of them are paid subscriptions at patreon.com/blackstoneintel. So no matter how you're doing it, whether it's through the super thanks, which you can do in the videos, the comment section, I think, or when you give me super chat donations during my live streams, and I did the last couple of days about 8.5 hours of live streaming. The response from you guys helping me to jumpstart my Blackstone channel again has been incredible, generous. Thank you so much. This has been a great kickstart. I've still got a long way to go before the channel is financially sustainable again, but we're off to a good start. Still, I just would like to ask any of you out there, if you can spare $1 or $2, I'd appreciate it if you'd go to one of these links down in the video description and become a supporter of my reporting on the Middle East and other important topics of the day, because this stuff you're not going to hear from the globalist controlled corporate media. If you do hear anything, it's going to be skewed and propagandized. So anyway, let's get back to some good, honest, neutral reporting with perspectives that you won't hear anywhere else. All right, here's that video from 2019.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
All right, now let's jump into what I'm so excited about. In fact, let me show you let me go to, I'm so excited about this. I ordered, and you can look at this screenshot with me, back on May 6th, May the 6th, I ordered a book. I'm addicted to books. You know how I am. But because for years I've been talking about the USS Liberty, and so I ordered a book. on the Liberty that I did not already have in my library. And you know me, I like to go cheap. So I found one. The condition was used, acceptable. It says dust jacket not included. The price of the book was $4. It was at the Seattle Goodwill. I thought, you know what? Let me get it. Now, the book arrived today in the mail. And now that order said that it didn't have a dust jacket. It actually does have a dust jacket, but it's, you can see it's a little bit ratty. You know, it is in acceptable condition. And earlier today, and I just want to say real quick, I dedicate this segment on the USS Liberty to someone I have a great amount of respect for, the friend of mine that I visited in Mexico a couple of weeks ago. This segment's dedicated to you. So I get this book today in the mail. I look at the get the receipt, throw it away. You know, I ripped up the rest of the, packaging that came with it, threw it in my recycling bin, and thumbed through the book a little bit. I was excited because I saw in the front of the book that it was actually signed by, it's autographed by the author, James Ennis. Jim Ennis. James Ennis was one of the sailors on the USS Liberty. He was injured badly during the attack, but he wrote this book, and he did a load of work, FOIA requests, interviews with CIA, tons of stuff to try and get the truth behind what really happened. So, hey, he autographed it. I'm excited. But I'm looking at it, and I noticed that there's something in the back of the book here. So I go and I open this up to the back. There's a picture, an older picture of Ennis. So I open up to the back of the book, and there are two things back here in the back, and I'll show it to you. The first one is this. You can tell it's quite dated, but I can tell. You may not be able to see in this, but it's, the paper's yellowed. It's real thin stuff. It says, "Dear Jim, glue this into the margin at page 118 and it will give you a custom illustrated copy of the book." Now, in the middle here, around 118, there's a bunch of photos in here. But in the middle, but at page 118, there's specifically a story or a section about the captain of the USS Liberty, Captain William McGonigal. If any of you have ever watched USS Liberty documentaries, you know Captain McGonigal, who passed away. I think it was in 1999. But that's what this is, talking about McGonigal. And so I'm like, all right, well, what is he talking about pasting in there? This Dear Jim, somebody writing to Jim, whoever owned this book before me was a guy named Jim. And it's signed, I couldn't quite make that out, that signature. It's a scribble. I had not yet connected who it was. So I open it up, and there's this letter, this typed piece of paper. Let me read what this says. It says, "Here is the shot of Captain McGonigal that I could not get permission to use in the book. It was taken by Frank McInturf, C Index, who was then a CTSA and a mess cook and is now a CTRC. Frank was one of the men harassed at San Juan, where he was threatened with electroshock therapy, and he is still frightened. See page 184. He told me he is convinced the Navy would withhold his next promotion if he were to cooperate with me in any way. Notice the and then he writes this, "Notice the tourniquet still in place on McGonigal's leg after more than 14 hours. It should have been removed as soon as the bleeding stopped, but he was in shock and unconscious much of the time, and no one thought to remove it for him. The tourniquet probably did more damage to him than the shrapnel did. Best wishes, Jim Ennis, Washington. So I'm like, wait a second. This is a letter from Jim Ennis, the author who signed the book, writing to the owner of the book, a guy he sent this to named Jim, also named Jim. And he wrote this thing, and then attached to the back is an original photo taken on the day of the attack. That is Captain McGonigal, taken on the day of the Liberty attack. Can you see there? Look at his leg. His leg's in a tourniquet. I'm holding, what I have in this book is a picture that the author had gotten from another one of the sailors that was on there. This other sailor had been threatened. And I'm going to read you the paragraph here in a second. This sailor had been threatened, as many of the sailors were, not to talk about what Israel did. The Navy threatened them. And I'll read you a little bit of this. But that guy that had been threatened with electroshock therapy to shut him up and, erase his memory if he dared talk, he's the one who took this photo, and he gave the photo to Jim Ennis, but said, look, you can't put this in the book, because if you do, they're going to keep me from any promotions, and they're going to deep six me. So he had the photo, and he sent this original photo to this guy, Jim. And it's amazing. How did I end up with this? And so, first thing, I'm like, what? This is crazy. So I go and I'm like, what are the odds that I would end up with this? So I go and I grab the trash and I pull out again, and I'm looking at it. And I don't know if you can see this, but it says down there, date added, May 1st. The Seattle Goodwill had just gotten this book in there as a donation 5 days before I placed my order. So, I went through and read all my stuff again to keep. So let me read to you what he's talking about the guy who sent that picture. Give me a second here. Oh, I'm so excited to share. I'm going to read a little bit tonight from this book to you. But there's a lot more that I want to share from it. So we'll do that over subsequent episodes. But let me read just the part where he's talking about this other guy that gave him the photo. And again, this guy's name is Frank McInturf. It says, it was during this period also that the Pentagon, at the behest of the State Department, started gathering information. Doggone it. Sorry. Gotta wear my stupid reading glasses. That the State Department started gathering information that would be used to prosecute a claim for damages against Israel. A Navy lawyer took a medical statement from me during my second month in the hospital. It was impossible to guess what might be the lingering effects of my injuries, how long I would be hospitalized, or what all this might do to my military career. I was disturbed that the government, U.S. government, was apparently prepared to act upon what I considered to be incomplete information. I didn't realize that I was lucky to be left in peace. Survivors transferred to San Juan were less fortunate. In an incredible abuse of authority, military officers held 2 young Liberty sailors against their will in a locked and heavily guarded psychiatric ward of the base hospital. For days, these men were drugged and questioned about their recollections of the attack by a, quote, therapist who admitted to being untrained in either psychiatry or psychology. At one point, they avoided electroshock therapy only by bolting the room and demanding to see the commanding officer. and before being released, they were forced to promise in writing never to discuss the Liberty attack or the hospital episode. That is the U.S. government going after our own sailors who were attacked by Israel and telling the sailors, don't you talk about Israel or you're done. And for those that were dumb enough to say, wait a second, I'm an American citizen. You can't tell me not to talk about the attack. Fine. We're going to administer electroshock therapy. Folks, who administers electroshock therapy? The CIA. The CIA was in there threatening and actually trying to administer electroshock therapy to a couple of these sailors. I know that the CIA does electroshock therapy because years ago, two of my contacts that I've mentioned them before, the people who were still in the CIA, but their front was they were clowns. Like they literally dressed like clowns, did the clown balloon, like they were very good at being clowns. But they were CIA assets. And they told me about how they had a lesser position because they had been subjected to whatever they were doing. The CIA wanted them to not remember it, and they administered several rounds of electroshock therapy to them to erase the memories that they had, and then gave them other assignments still within the CIA to keep tabs on them, to keep using them in a lesser degree, to ensure that they keep them under their thumb. That's the CIA that was going after these guys. So anyway, crazy stories. So anyway, that's what he's saying. He's saying, here is the shot. I'll read it one more time. Dear Jim, here is the shot of Captain McGonagall that I could not get permission to use in the book. It was taken by Frank McInturf, who was then a CTSA and a mess cook and is now a CTRC. Frank was one of the men harassed at San Juan, so he's one of these two sailors in the book who Ennis did not mention by name out of, concern for the guy. Where he was threatened with electroshock therapy and he is still frightened. He told me he is convinced the Navy would withhold his next promotion if he were to cooperate with me in any way. And then let me show you the pictures here. I did. It's not good quality, unfortunately. I tried to get pictures to zoom in to show you, but it's still hard to see. But these are just shots from the photo that I've got here. It says, notice the tourniquet still in place on McGonagall's leg after more than 14 hours. It should have been removed as soon as the bleeding stopped, but he was in shock and unconscious much of the time, and no one thought to remove it for him. The tourniquet probably did more damage to him than the shrapnel did. Crazy. So anyway, I'm holding on to that sucker. That's great. That's awesome. Pretty cool, huh? It's just one of those synchronicitous things where things align, and I felt good this morning. I got up, showered, said, got on my knees at the bed, next to my bed. I say prayers in the morning, ask for God's guidance during the day, and I just had a good, this feeling of confidence. It was going to be a good day. Lots of good things in store. Now, what I'm going to do is read a few pages to you from this book. And, well, you know what? Before I read that, let me show you something else, just super fast. There is, you guys know that I've been in contact, I've been talking with one of the survivors of the USS Liberty. And I haven't mentioned his name before, but I'll go ahead and do so now. His name is Ron Kukal, Kukal, Ron Kukal. Awesome guy. He was below deck when the torpedoes hit. Just crazy. Let me show you. Let me show you just a few seconds of a video clip of him speaking so you can see who this guy is. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, I'll just play a few seconds. Listen to this.
It'd be a terrible crime if, for historical reasons, that the truth about the USS Liberty was never told. A crime to your family and mine. President Trump has said, let's make America great again. Okay? I can tell you of a crew who survived the attack, who's been trying to make America great again for over 50 years now. Because we love your family.
So anyway, that's Ron Kukal, and he is with USS Liberty Veterans Association. These guys have been trying and trying and trying to get the story out. The U.S. government has done everything they can to suppress what happened, all in the name of protecting Israel, right? Look at this. Their YouTube channel, and they don't post a whole lot, and, you know, so be it. But they've only got 56 subscribers. Folks, type it. Somebody, will a moderator please go on YouTube, find the USS Liberty Veterans Association link, put it in the chat here, and everybody flood that page and subscribe to it. Even if they're not posting a lot of content, let's show these men, these sailors and their families, that we Americans believe them, and we are not going to let this story of Israel's just treacherous attack on America be forgotten. Go hit that subscribe button, and I want to check back in a few minutes, and I want to see a good 20, 30 subscribers, new subscribers. Get out there and hit that button. Support these men. Let's get them some exposure. Let's help them. I mean, this generation, these guys are getting up in age now. Let them know they have not been forgotten. Let them know we stand with them. That even though the government has oppressed them and silenced them and threatened them, the truth is coming to light, and more people are waking up. And, you know, the Zionists and the Israeli lobby, they can talk all day long about how we're anti-Semites. In fact, he addresses that in that speech. He says in there that he references how the SPLC, he doesn't use the word anti-Semite, but that's clearly what he means, what he's referring to. Go hit the like on that thing, subscribe, and let's check it out. So anyway, and Ron, if you're watching, we love you. God bless you. God bless you, Captain McGonigal. God bless James Ennis for the work he did to capture this. Every one of you, you guys are American patriots, and we are proud of you. Thank you. Thank you for fighting to bring the truth out. And President Trump, if you ever see this, you're on the wrong side, my friend. You are on the wrong side. You need to get behind our sailors. Take that leash off that Bibi Netanyahu has around your neck. So this book is brimming with declassified information, material that Ennis obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests, and all kinds of stuff. Just fabulous material. So let me show you this picture here, and then I'm gonna go peek at the website. So, all right. So on the left is a picture of Captain William McGonigal. And then on the right is a copy of the picture that I have in my possession. I'm just going to refresh this page here. Sweet. It's looking good, guys. We have, and I want to see this continue to go up throughout this broadcast and as people watch it later on. We're up to 164 subscriptions now for USS Liberty Veterans Association. We have tripled their membership so far. Thank you. Every one of you that took the time to do this, I thank you. And I can't speak for the USS Liberty veterans, but I do know that Ron Kukal, I'm sure, would like to convey his gratitude to you. So thank you.